Chapter 15:14. In order to test the specific effect of clear harp voice transformation, he took out a piece of bronze floating light aluminum. He got Xianxia to use its clear harp transformation skill to control the floating light aluminum. Soon Xianxia chose the floating light aluminum as its anchor target. In order to test Xianxia's ability, he had deliberately left the spirit lock spatial zone. He was randomly teleported to the outskirts of the capital. He found that after controlling the floating light aluminum, it was like a loudspeaker when Xianxia sang. Xianxia's voice was continuously transmitted to the surroundings. The sound released by floating light aluminum wasn't much different from Xianxia's. However, the floating light aluminum's sound conductivity was much further than Xianxia's. From the original range of a few hundred meters to 3 kilometers. Lin Yuan continued to experiment and took out a ball of high-grade exceptional flame. At that moment Lin Yuan heard Xianxia's voice. Lin Yuan, compared to controlling this high-grade strange flame, it should be easier to make it acknowledge Xianxia. With that said, Xianxia flapped its wings and approached the high-grade twilight cold fire. Xianxia used the light elements it released to communicate with the light elements released by the high-grade twilight cold fire. Soon the twilight cold fire became Xianxia's anchor. After getting the twilight cold fire to acknowledge Xianxia, Lin Yuan understood. Anchoring an object would consume Xianxia's light elemental energy. In order for an object to acknowledge Xianxia, Xianxia could consume the light energy contained in the object. After experimenting, Xianxia obtained the recognition of the high-grade strange flame, twilight cold fire, and used it as a speaker. Xianxia's voice could travel as far as 50 kilometers. From this, it could be seen that anchored objects had a strong correlation with transmission ability. When he thought of how Xianxia could use this anchored object as a base, he realized that Xianxia could release its sound type skills. Xianxia's only sound type skill was the normal grade skill, shattering jade sound. Lin Yuan immediately ordered Xianxia. Xianxia, use this ball of twilight cold fire to launch a shattering jade sound to the furthest limit. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, it let out a soft cry. Finally, through Lin Yuan's observation, he found that at a position of 25 kilometers, there was a huge mountain range. Traces of being attacked by the sound of broken jade appeared. He then asked Xianxia to use broken jade sound to the side and found that the depth of the traces was basically the same. This meant that the power of an attack released through an anchor was not any weaker than the power of a skill released by oneself. After Xianxia executed the shattering jade sound, the twilight cold fire's flame was clearly weaker. This meant that Xianxia's broken jade sound had consumed a portion of the twilight cold fire's light elemental energy. This discovery made Lin Yuan increasingly feel that Xianxia should regard the anchored object as the sun. If it was another Fey, even if its light element talent was much stronger than Xianxia, it would still be hard to obtain the sun's recognition. However, he had the Mother of Bloodbath by his side. The Mother of Bloodbath had the bloodline of the Polaris sun spider and was the favored child of the sun. It could directly communicate with the sun. With the Mother of Bloodbath's help, Xianxia was very likely to obtain the sun's recognition and complete its anchoring. The light energy in the sun was endless. Using the sun as a base, the distance it could travel was not as simple as hundreds or thousands of miles. However, before advancing to a myth breed, Xianxia wanted to obtain the sun's recognition through its harp transformation skill. It was still too early. The appearance of clear zither sound allowed Lin Yuan to see Xianxia's infinite possibilities. With the sun as an anchor, when Xianxia used its ability, it would look almost no different from a celestial phenomenon. Controlling celestial phenomena was an ability that only 10-star sacred source lifeforms possessed, apart from the favored spirits. As a Fae, Xianxia was very likely to be able to do this. Currently, Xianxia only had one sound type ability, broken jade sound. As Xianxia's strength increased and its sound type bloodline was constantly strengthened, new sound type abilities would always appear. However, even if it only had one ability, broken jade sound with the sun as an anchor, it was already strong enough. Xianxia's broken jade sound used the sun as a muzzle and was fired at everything. As long as the sun's light elemental energy did not dry up, Xianxia's broken jade sound would be endless. Lin Yuan had to admit that Xianxia's advancement to Diamond had brought him a huge surprise. Next, he just had to wait for Genius and Xianxia to evolve to Fantasy V. Genius and Xianxia would then be able to obtain a brand new metamorphosis before becoming myth breeds. Lin Yuan was looking forward to this day's arrival. The source sand was previously at Diamond I. When Lin Yuan's source sand reached Diamond X, the source sand's guard sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Lin Yuan realized that the source sand's guard sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Now, as long as Lin Yuan wanted to, the guard sand could cover a 1-kilometer radius around him. Moreover, he could control these guard sand like his own arms. He could make any exquisite changes with his thoughts. Immediately after Lin Yuan urged the source sand, the ground that was covered by yellow sand collapsed, and the sand body traveled underground. The area within 10 kilometers immediately turned into a purgatory of sand. Moreover, the sand was constantly expanding its territory. In less than a minute, Lin Yuan had created a sea of sand within 30 kilometers. Lin Yuan controlled these guard sand and they changed their shapes under his control. Suddenly, an idea flashed in Lin Yuan's mind. Immediately after, the sand body under Lin Yuan's feet surged, and a 3-meter-tall, 2-meter-long sand house appeared in the center of the quicksand vortex. In this small sand house formed by the guard sand, Lin Yuan was wantonly moving his body around. After Lin Yuan's control, the small sand house's interior was very exquisitely carved. Using the guard sand to form a small sand house was far from Lin Yuan's limit. As a large number of guard sand gathered toward the small sand house, the small sand house became bigger and bigger. Finally, it formed a 30-meter-tall, 20-meter-long and 20-meter-wide castle. After this castle was formed, the guard sand's activities were far from stopping. The source sand's exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation, devoured a total of 3 types of metal. These 3 types of metal were also designated into 3 forms. These 3 types of metal and 3 forms were chain swords made of radium uranium steel, feathers made of day and night spirit silver, and triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold. The guard sand precipitated a large number of these 3 types of metal into their designated forms. Chain swords made of radium uranium steel were built in the castle like bones. These chain swords built in the castle could be launched out of the castle at the fastest speed at any time. The day and night spirit silver turned into feathers and attached to the castle's surface. The day and night spirit silver's powerful defensive ability and hardness increased the castle's defense. From time to time, the day and night spirit silver would fall from the castle and separate. A defensive zone was formed around the castle. The triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold moved back and forth in the land around the castle like spirit snakes. Chapter 15:15. Lin Yuan had chosen the liquid metal, the red lotus soft gold, because it had an extremely strong ductility. Once spirit chi was channeled into it, the liquid red lotus soft gold could instantly turn into a needle with extremely strong piercing performance. This triangular line formed by the red lotus soft gold could completely replace the heart-penetrating iron line, an alien insect that was accepted by the exclusive skill Sand Spirit Acceptance. Immediately after, the castle changed again. A large number of gears formed by the guard sand began to densely cover the interior of the castle. By channeling spirit chi, the density of the guard sand would change. A small amount of spirit chi was channeled into the castle, allowing the guard sand to turn into gears. It could allow the castle to move quickly in the sea of sand. Immediately after, the sand-formed castle stretched out its legs and hands like a giant. The castle giant's legs and hands were embedded with chain swords made of radium uranium steel. In his previous life, Lin Yuan had seen an anime called Howl's Moving Castle. Now Lin Yuan had also built his moving castle through the source sand. As an elemental source-type life form, Lin Yuan had always focused on its group ability in nurturing it. But now, through the guard sand and the exclusive skill, metal consume manifestation, it had transformed into these metal spiritual materials. This allowed the source sand to become a standing attacking giant in the sea of sand. In this way, it was enough to maximize the source sand's offensive power. After experimenting with the evolved source sand's abilities, Lin Yuan felt that it should be on the agenda to choose a suitable fey or dimensional life form for the source sand's exclusive skill, Sand Spirit Acceptance. Because the source sand swallow metal had transformed into the red lotus soft gold, the red lotus soft gold turned into a triangular shape. Lin Yuan had already eliminated the heart-penetrating iron line. Lin Yuan was never picky about the choice of Sand Spirit Acceptance. Strengthening his defense and controlling the sea of sand were all within Lin Yuan's choice. As for offensive power, Lin Yuan thought about it and let it go. Now Lin Yuan's attack mainly relied on Black's exclusive skill, Spirit Purity Burst, and Princess Sacred Sword Mode Sword skill. No matter how strong the Source Sand's Sand Grain Spirit Acceptance Fey was, a Diamond X/Fantasy 3 Source Sand could not compare to the power of a sword technique. Therefore, strengthening the Source Sand's offensive power was equivalent to wasting its talent to some extent. As for improving the Source Sand's quality, it was not difficult for him now. The mountain-containing embryo might be rare, but compared to the essence blood of a main dragon species Fey or the spirit wisdom purple Zhou Xian, it was much more valuable. In terms of rarity, it was still a level lower. As long as he posted a bounty of 100 heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls on Starweb, he would be able to receive the mountain-containing embryo. He let out a sigh of relief after upgrading all his Feys to Diamond X by relying on Spirit Chi crystals. Previously, Lin Yuan's Fey grade had always been lower than the Radiant Sect's younger generation's vanguard. Zhongzhe, Gulang and he and Lu Jie's Feys had all reached Diamond X/Fantasy V. As for Lin Yuan, only a few of his Feys had reached Diamond I. Now Lin Yuan had caught up. In terms of Feys, there was no longer any difference between Lin Yuan and Radiance's younger generation vanguard. As for quality, he was confident that he could raise Chimey, Genius, Source Sand and Blackie's quality to Fantasy V. Only the Purple Firmament did not have a good solution because Lin Yuan could not find the Nirvana Obsidian Butterfly. Next, he was going to make a trip to the Coiled Dragon Valley to obtain the Essence Blood from the Long family to help Blackie evolve from a pure-blooded Wurm species to a main dragon species Fey. He took out his cell phone and dialed Long Tao's number. When chatting in the group last night, Long Tao said that he would personally oversee the Abyss in 2 days and manage the operations of the organization. Moreover, by fighting the abyssal demons he would be able to hone his combat skills. If Lin Yuan did not look for Long Tao these few days and waited for Long Tao to enter the Abyss world, he would not be able to find Long Tao. If he wanted to find Long Tao, he would have to wait for him to return from the Abyss world. Soon Long Tao picked up the phone. Lin Yuan said to Long Tao, "Brother Long, are you still in the old house in the Coiling Dragon Valley?" Upon hearing that, Long Tao hurriedly replied, knowing that Lin Yuan had something to talk to him about. "Brother Lin, I'm at the old house in Coiling Dragon Valley right now. Do you want me to find you there?" Long Tao thought that Lin Yuan wanted him to retrieve the Golden Lotus brocade stock. But today wasn't the appointed time. Lin Yuan had already provided the previous batch of Golden Lotus brocade stocks to the Coiling Dragon Valley. The next batch of Golden Lotus brocade stocks should be delivered next week. Long Tao was grateful to Lin Yuan from the bottom of his heart. Out of kinship, Lin Yuan had helped his father's Fey with damaged roots break through to Myth 3. Out of friendship, Lin Yuan had helped him too much. Lin Yuan had pulled him together to form a faction and develop the Abyss world. It was the same as giving him a bright future. Otherwise, even if Long Tao was the Coiling Dragon Valley's young family head and the Radiance 100 Sequences number 3, he wouldn't be able to fight his way into the circle of His Holiness disciples. Out of the Coiling Dragon Valley, Lin Yuan had provided the Coiling Dragon Valley with Golden Lotus brocade stocks, increasing the overall Coiling Dragon Valley's creation master resources by 30%. While this allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to develop faster, it also allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to harvest more resources. It raised the Coiling Dragon Valley's status among the top factions. It allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to have a chance of reaching the top 5 this year. This was all Lin Yuan's help to him and the Coiling Dragon Valley. Therefore, whenever there was something, Long Tao would think of doing something to repay Lin Yuan. At that moment, Long Tao heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. "Big brother Long, there's no need for that. I want to discuss a deal with the Coiling Dragon Valley in the Coiling Dragon Valley. I need you to be the middleman." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tao immediately knew that Lin Yuan wasn't coming to the Coiling Dragon Valley as the Moon Empress disciple. Instead, he was coming as a friend. Otherwise, there was no need for Lin Yuan to inform him in advance. As long as he sent a notice to the Coiling Dragon Valley, his father and the Coiling Dragon Valley's elders would have to wait for Lin Yuan's arrival. Even if his grandfather was in seclusion and was preparing to become immortal. But even so, when Lin Yuan really arrived, he would not be able to do anything. His grandfather would have to come out of seclusion and greet Lin Yuan to show respect. Lin Yuan wanted him to be the middleman to show that they were true brothers. On the other hand, it was also to show respect for the Coiling Dragon Valley. Long Tao quickly said, "Brother Lin, what deal do you want to make? Just say it. I'll go inform them and prepare it for you before you come." Lin Yuan didn't hide anything and said, "Big Brother Long, the Coiling Dragon Valley should have pure blood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species, right? I want some pure blood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species." Chapter 15-16. Long Tao's heart skipped a beat. The Coiling Dragon Valley did have such a fae that could evolve from a flood dragon to a main dragon species. However, this fae was his grandfather's main fae. It was now a Class 10 monarch and a Class 8 creation calamity. It was charging toward immortal. The few drops of essence blood that Lin Yuan needed in the family were the main dragon species phase. In order for his grandfather's main fae to break through, it had been absorbed by his grandfather's main fae. If he wanted such essence blood now, he could only let his grandfather's main fae condense it. Once his grandfather's strength reached immortal, the Coiling Dragon Valley's position among the top factions would change drastically. The whale ocean trade was blocked by the spirit guards. No one knew what was happening inside. However, according to the spirit guards, the whale ocean trade had been removed from the Radiance faction list. Once his grandfather reached immortal, the Coiling Dragon Valley would have the ability to fill the gap in the top 3 factions. However, Long Tao could not refuse Lin Yuan's request. The entire Coiling Dragon Valley could not refuse either. The Long family owed Lin Yuan too much. Long Tao said, "I will let the family prepare in advance. When Brother Lin comes, just take it away." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan replied, "Big Brother Long, I will go to the Coiling Dragon Valley now. As for the deal, we will discuss it when I arrive." With that, Lin Yuan hung up the phone. When Lin Yuan arrived at the Coiling Dragon Valley mansion on Little Black, he found Long Tao and all the Coiling Dragon Valley's direct descendants waiting for him at the door. Long Tao stood in the middle of the group. On Long Tao's left stood the Long family head, Long Tuesday. On the right stood an old man with white hair and beard. Lin Yuan could clearly feel the old man's gaze on him. It was filled with complicated emotions. At the same time, he was sincerely welcoming Lin Yuan. When these people saw Lin Yuan jump off Little Black's back, they were preparing to greet him. At that moment, Long Tu and Long Du saw Lin Yuan bow to them as a junior. Then he walked to Long Tao's side and said with a reproachful tone, "Big Brother Long, why are you so polite?" Lin Yuan's tone was very sincere and it warmed Long Tao's heart. This also deepened Long Tu's impression of Lin Yuan, who had previously understood him, and Long Du, who had never come into contact with him. He was not arrogant or rash and treated everyone with courtesy. The more talented a person was, the more arrogant they were. Long Tu, Long Tao and Long Du were all born with a silver spoon in their mouths. From the moment they were born, they carried the unique arrogance of geniuses. Long Du and Long Tu asked themselves if they could reach such a level of courtesy. Naturally, Long Tao couldn't reach it. Before coming to welcome Lin Yuan, Long Du had understood the situation and pondered for a moment. He resolutely gave up on the rare opportunity for his Creation Peak stage main battle spirit, the weak water ice Jade Jiao, to become an immortal. The water ice Jade Jiao mobilized all of its chi and blood, trying its best to condense 5 drops of blood essence. As a weak water ice Jade Dragon at the peak of creation stage, it only had around 12 or 13 drops of blood essence in its entire body. The condensation of 5 drops of essence blood was equivalent to the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao suffering an extremely serious injury. If he wanted to let the rudimentary ice Jade Jiao recover, he would probably need to use elemental pearls that contained pure water elements to nourish it for several years. As the Long family's former head, Long Du was willing to give up his own benefits in order to repay Lin Yuan. However, he still felt a little uncomfortable. Now that he saw Lin Yuan's courteous attitude, Long Du's uncomfortable feeling dissipated a little. When Long Du saw the black flood dragon under Lin Yuan, he was secretly shocked. As a pinnacle class 4 creation master, Long Du recognized this black flood dragon as the spirit tide black flood dragon. It was a fae that had evolved from a butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish. Long Du couldn't imagine how much pure spirit chi had been supplied. That was why a small butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish could undergo such atavism when its dragon species bloodline was stimulated. It was obvious that Lin Yuan had come to ask for the essence blood to improve the spirit tide black flood dragon's quality. Otherwise, Lin Yuan wouldn't have needed to specifically ask for the essence blood of a pure-blooded flood dragon to a main dragon species Fei. When Long Tao heard Lin Yuan's words, he didn't regard himself as an outsider and smiled. This is your first time coming to our Coiled Dragon Valley's old mansion. The next time you come, there won't be so many people to welcome you. After returning to the main mansion with the Long family, Long Du took out 5 test tubes made of amethyst. Each of the 5 test tubes contained a drop of sparkling purplish gold blood. This drop of purplish gold blood was condensed with dragon qi, which would fly out from time to time. It was as though once the bottle was opened, this drop of dragon blood would transform into a dragon and fly out. Lord Lin Yuan, this is the essence blood you want. If it isn't enough, my Long family can give you another 3 drops. When speaking, Long Du had a resolute expression. However, Long Tao and Long Tu looked at Long Du with worried expressions. If the weak water ice jade flood dragon condensed another 3 drops of essence blood, it would fall into a near-death state and its roots might be injured. If it continued to be nurtured, it wouldn't be something that could be solved with elemental pearls and a few years of effort. After receiving the amethyst test tubes from Long Tu, Lin Yuan said, 5 drops are enough. I previously agreed to carry out a transaction with Big Brother Long. I wonder if, before Lin Yuan could finish speaking, Long Tu said, Lord Lin Yuan, my Long family is indebted to you. Lord Lin Yuan's kindness to our Long family is as heavy as a mountain. He allowed our Long family to leap from a top-notch faction to the top 10 in just a few months. What transaction is Lord Lin Yuan discussing with the Long family? If you need the essence blood, just take it. In fact, the Long family could tell Lin Yuan about Long Tu's situation. This would undoubtedly win Lin Yuan's favor. Long Tao wouldn't do this, and Long Tu and Long Du naturally wouldn't choose to do so either. After all, Long Du's final choice was to repay the kindness, not to seek repayment. Hearing Long Tu's words, Lin Yuan shook his head seriously. Uncle Long, that's a different matter. How many pinnacle emperor-class experts does the Long family have now? Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tu, Long Du and Long Tao held their breaths. The 3 of them knew that Lin Yuan had law crystals. The Long family had previously traded with Lin Yuan, allowing Long Tu's Fei to smoothly evolve to Myth 3. Now that Lin Yuan was asking how many pinnacle emperor-class experts the Long family had, it was obvious that he wanted to trade law crystals. In exchange for the Long family's essence blood. Each emperor-class expert was an extremely precious treasure to a top-notch faction. When emperor-class experts were sent to various major cities, they could oversee the major cities and open up business. Even if emperor-class experts were sent to sweep through dimensional rifts, they could obtain massive amounts of resources every year. Moreover, when the various top-notch factions reached a strategic cooperation, generally, each top-notch faction would send an emperor-class expert to supervise the cooperation process. Then it would cleanse the body and slowly grind the complete world of law of the 8 creation earth veins. It would fuse its body with the broken world of law. It would form an immortal body in the world. The world of law was the source of all the power of a creation breed Fei. Even if it survived the danger of the power of immortality. If it wanted to reach immortality, it would have to bear the risk of using its body to grind the world of law. Immortality was an unknown realm for the entire Coiling Dragon Valley. Because of the unknown, it was afraid. It wasn't that the tribulation of immortality couldn't be like the world cleansing and the tribulation of creation, where other experts could help. They just wanted to help a pinnacle creation breed Fei complete the first tribulation of immortality. In the beginning, the helper had to use great power to protect the body. They didn't want the body to be destroyed by the power of immortality. Then they had to use great power to create a barrier around the target that wouldn't be broken by the power of the world. They had to prevent the power of the world from leaking out and forming the immortal body. These 2 points seemed easy, but to complete the first point, they needed precise control of the power of immortality. Only then could they ensure that the body wouldn't be destroyed by the power of immortality. This was something that the expert Lin Yuan had just used obviously couldn't do. To accurately control the power of immortality, the helper had to be at least level 5 immortal. As for the second point, it was even more difficult. When the world of law of the 8 creation earth veins collapsed, even a level 5 immortal expert wouldn't be able to withstand the power. Once the barrier was broken, the power of the world would leak out. In the end, even if the immortal body was formed, it wouldn't be complete. It could only be considered a broken body. Therefore, to ensure that the seed of creation Fei was 100% safe, at least a level 7 immortal expert was needed to help. But where could they find such an expert? Anyway, the Long family couldn't be found. Therefore, when they first heard that Di Wanqing had successfully become an immortal and that the Zhai family had 2 immortal experts, the emperor-class experts of the various factions all sighed at Di Wanqing's good luck. Chapter 1519. Just as Long Du was feeling apprehensive, Lin Yuan spoke. In a while, the expert guarding the Jade Falling Serpent will arrive. Don't worry, as long as the Ruoshui Jade Falling Flood Dragon can keep its composure, no accidents will happen. I can guarantee the safety of the Ruoshui Jade Falling Dragon 100%. Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Du immediately understood that Lin Yuan controlled immortal level 7 and above. This was simply too shocking. Then an irrepressible sense of gratitude flowed through Long Du's heart. Long Du, who had lived for most of his life, was already half a foot in the grave. He had never been so grateful to someone in his life. Long Tao had really made a good friend. Lin Yuan was simply the Coiling Dragon Valley's little lucky star. After feeling grateful, Long Du fell into a state of shock. No one understood the situation in Coiling Dragon Valley better than Long Du. The Coiled Dragon Valley was close to the top 10 among the Radiance's 50 top factions. It was all because of the Golden Lotus Brocade stock's sudden increase in Creation Master resources. This kind of foundation that relied on external items to increase greatly made the position of the Coiling Dragon Valley unstable. It would take a few years or even a dozen years for Coiling Dragon Valley to firmly take root among the top 10 factions. In the end, after Lin Yuan came to the Coiled Dragon Valley, he had to rely on resources. He pushed the Coiling Dragon Valley to the top 3 of the peak factions. He took out dozens of law crystals and added a dozen Emperor-level powerhouses to the Coiling Dragon Valley. Then he took out the World Crystal and summoned experts to help him. It would allow him to have a 100% chance of becoming undying. With such resources and ability, even if he did not spend them on the Coiling Dragon Valley, he would still be able to spend them on any of the veteran top factions. That faction could fill the gap in the Whale Ocean's trade and become one of the top 3 factions. These resources were given by the Moon Empress or in Lin Yuan's hands. It was enough to prove that he had the power to change the faction structure. Lin Yuan had already asked the Slaughter Sky Butterfly to contact Bai Yan. At this time, Bai Yan was rushing towards the entrance of the Swamp World's Klein hub. In less than an hour, Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Bai Yan. When Bai Yan saw Lin Yuan, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Bai Yan greets my lord." While greeting Lin Yuan, Bai Yan used his peripheral vision to look at the Long family's people. His gaze rested on the Ruoshui Ice Jade Serpent for a while. In Bai Yan's opinion, if there was a conflict, the Weakwater Ice Jade Flood Dragon would pose the greatest threat to Lin Yuan. Thus, Bai Yan released a trace of his own aura and enveloped the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Dragon. The rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao felt like it was in the mouth of a crocodile in a deep pool. He had a creepy feeling that he might be swallowed by the giant crocodile at any time. Lin Yuan instructed Bai Yan. "Bai Yan, retract your aura. In a moment, form a barrier around his body, and use your power to prevent the undying power from destroying his body." When Bai Yan heard this, he didn't understand why the Lord Ruler wanted him to help this otherworld person. But since this was the sovereign's arrangement, he had to do it beautifully. It had to be said that Bai Yan's thoughts had been enlightened on the island of Stormy Waves City. He was increasingly seeing Lin Yuan as a god. No matter what Lin Yuan asked Bai Yan to do, Bai Yan, who would wholeheartedly obey Lin Yuan, would not think too much about it. Bai Yan placed his hand on the Eternal Ice Jade Flood Dragon's back. Immediately after, a thick aura surged into the body of the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao. Bai Yan, whose strength was comparable to a peak immortal, could not be resisted by the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao. The moment Bai Yan's energy entered its body, the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao felt that its body was almost out of control. Lin Yuan said to the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao, "Now swallow the World Crystal." Hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao put the World Crystal into its mouth with a sacred expression. It was ready to welcome the transformation of its life form. As the energy within the World Crystal surged into the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao's law world, the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao felt its law world suddenly expand and contract. 8 Genesis earth veins embedded in the ground of the world, stabilizing the world, flew up. In the process of interweaving in the air, a magnificent dark golden energy was born. This magnificent dark golden energy squatted outside the law world. It broke through the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's world crystal and merged into its body. Immediately after, the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao felt as if its whole body was burning. An indescribable pain spread through its flesh. Fortunately, the power that the immortal expert behind it had just injected into its body firmly supported its flesh. Otherwise, his flesh and blood would fall apart in less than 2 minutes under the influence of this dark golden energy. Bai Yan frowned and sensed the situation in the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's body. After the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's body got used to the immortal power, Bai Yan withdrew a part of the energy that he had injected into the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's body. This allowed more of the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's flesh to be cleansed by the immortal power. 1 day and 1 night passed. From the sun hanging high in the sky to the stars, and then to the sun rising in the east. The rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's body emerged with a faint dark golden color. As soon as this aura leaked out, the extreme dark earthburst dragon staggered a step back. The Long family members watched the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's body being cleansed by the immortal power. Their eyes were full of expectation. At this moment Bai Yan said, "I will withdraw the last bit of energy that I injected into your body. What I can do next is to make this shield unbreakable. You will have to rely on yourself for the rest. Don't waste the fortune that our Lord has given you." With that, Bai Yan's hand left the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's back. Then Bai Yan's eyes turned eerily white, and a majestic energy spurted out from Bai Yan's eyes. On the shield that covered the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's body, a giant crocodile figure appeared. The scales on the giant crocodile's figure could be clearly seen head to tail on the shield. Even when the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao's law world was crushed, the energy that erupted could not even cause a ripple on the shield. At this moment, the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao was enduring 100 times more pain than before. The law world was shattered, causing the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao to instantly feel as if it had lost all its power. This feeling made the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao, who had been holding the power, panic. But before the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao could panic for long, it felt that its body was being cleansed by the immortal power. It was constantly absorbing the fragments of the broken world. Then the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao found that its lost power was returning bit by bit. And this returned power was perfectly integrated into the immortal body. It made the rudimentary water ice Jade Jiao feel as if the world was immortal in its body. Its body could also be immortal in this world. Chapter 15:20. Suddenly, the immortal ice Jade Flood Dragon felt a warmth in its abdomen. It felt as though it was giving birth to a new life. This feeling made the immortal ice Jade Flood Dragon panic. It was a male flood dragon. Could a male flood dragon also give birth? Don't want to be a male mother. Immediately after, the immortal ice Jade Flood Dragon reacted. It should have given birth to a dragon pearl. The rudimentary ice Jade Jiao opened its mouth and spat out a bead. It was a dragon pearl. This dragon pearl was the size of a fist and was covered with majestic dragon chi. This dragon chi reflected the surrounding scenery, making it look a little hazy. An extremely cold water-type power spread out from this dragon pearl. This power made Bai Yan feel very comfortable. It was even more comfortable than scraping the scales from the little ribfish and smearing them on its scales. However, no matter how comfortable it was, Bai Yan could not let his temper take this dragon pearl for himself. A main dragon spitting out a pearl was already the limit of the main dragon bloodline. When the dragon pearl transformed into spirit, the main dragon would break through the original shackles and step into a new bloodline level. After the immortal ice Jade Flood Dragon kept the dragon pearl, a simple puppet appeared in front of it. This was the immortal body formed by the immortal ice Jade Flood Dragon. As the immortal body of the immortal ice Jade Flood Dragon increased in quality, the immortal body would show more and more colors and become more and more exquisite. The immortal ice Jade Flood Dragon's human form would also recover more and more fey characteristics. Lin Yuan said to Long Du with a smile. Congratulations on successfully becoming immortal. How the Long family will replace the position of whale ocean trade will depend on you to show your strength to the other top factions and obtain recognition. Long Du and the immortal Ice Jade Flood Dragon bowed deeply to Lin Yuan. Lord Lin Yuan, we know what to do next. Thank you, Lord Lin Yuan, for giving Coiling Dragon Valley a chance to prosper. If Coiling Dragon Valley needed anything from now on, Lord Lin Yuan could assign it. Coiling Dragon Valley would go through fire and water without any hesitation. When Lin Yuan heard that, he suddenly remembered that his source sand still needed the mountain-containing embryo to improve its quality. I really need a set of spiritual ingredients. I wonder if your Coiling Dragon Valley has a mountain-containing embryo? I need at least 3 mountain-containing embryos to enhance phase. Long Tao knew of Black's identity. Upon hearing that Lin Yuan wanted to use the mountain-containing embryo to enhance phase, he immediately thought of Lin Yuan's source sand. Brother Lin Yuan, our Coiling Dragon Valley has some stock of mountain-capacity embryos. There should be 7 or 8 of them. I'll pack them up for you when we get back. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan did not refuse. Although 3 or 4 mountain-containing embryos could raise the source sand's quality to Fantasy V, it was far from enough. However, more of the mountain-containing embryo was absorbed by the source sand, allowing it to produce more guard sand. The increase in the number of guard sand was equivalent to increasing the strength of the source sand. Lin Yuan followed the Long family back to the Coiling Dragon Valley and accepted their hospitality. Unexpectedly, as soon as they finished their meal, a large number of insect cries rang out in the valley behind the old house in the Coiled Dragon Valley. The people in the Coiling Dragon Valley were not surprised by the sudden buzzing of insects. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Long Tao explained to Lin Yuan. This should be another Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift that expanded to the pinnacle of Class 4. If a pinnacle faction opened a dimensional rift on its own, it would not be able to do so. If there were experts in the faction, they could easily suppress the dimensional lifeforms in the dimensional rift. Generally, they would choose to place a large number of source-type items in Class 4 dimensional rifts. Due to the lack of sacred source lifeforms, Class 4 dimensional rifts could not be upgraded to Class 5. However, when a Class 4 dimensional rift became a pinnacle Class 4 dimensional rift, the dimensional rift's production would greatly increase. Ever since Lin Yuan had asked the Coiling Dragon Valley to help him keep an eye on the Imperial Armored Martial God insects, the Coiling Dragon Valley had collected a total of 7 Imperial Armored Martial God insects for him. Now, these 7 Imperial Armored Martial God insects, which were comparable to Myth 2 phase, were being controlled by the Heaven Fragrance Beauty Butterfly like obedient babies. Upon hearing that the Long family had a ready-made pinnacle Class 4 dimensional rift, Lin Yuan's interest was piqued. The probability of a pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift producing Imperial Armored Martial God insects was 100 times that of a low-grade Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. It was 30 times that of a mid-grade Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. When Lin Yuan expressed that he wanted to enter the pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, the Coiling Dragon Valley's strongest expert, Long Du, immediately expressed that he wanted to accompany Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not refuse. Lin Yuan had already sent Bai Yan back to the swamp world. It was undoubtedly inconvenient to call Bai Yan out for any small matter. With Long Du accompanying him, Lin Yuan could collect the Imperial Armored Martial God insects at the fastest speed. Lin Yuan might be lucky enough to encounter the special form of alien insects like the Imperial Armored Martial God insects. After leaving the opening Dragon Valley and returning to the mansion, Lin Yuan first threw all 9 pieces of the mountain-containing embryo to the source sand. He let the source sand slowly absorb the mountain-containing embryo. If an elemental source-type lifeform like the source sand wanted to improve its quality, it needed a certain amount of time to accumulate. However, before the Radiance 100 sequence, the source sand's quality could always be improved to Fantasy V. Blackie was originally a water-type fae, and so was the weak water ice jade flood dragon. Therefore, the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood was the most suitable nourishment for Blackie. 3 drops of the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood allowed Blackie's quality to improve all the way to Fantasy V. The Fantasy V Blackie's body expanded once again. It grew from its original length of 100 meters to nearly 300 meters. This length made Blackie look exceptionally mighty and domineering. However, when he thought of Blackie's goose-like personality, Lin Yuan could not help but complain. Looks are indeed the best at bluffing. Other than the change in body size, the grade upgrade this time was different. Lin Yuan realized that Blackie actually had the ability to control the clouds. While flying, he could use the clouds to shield his body and command the clouds to create thunder and rain. It was a power that could only be grasped by a flood dragon species Fae when it became a main dragon species. Now that Little Black could faintly control the clouds, it meant that Little Black had mutated into a main dragon species. Anyway, he still had 2 drops of essence blood of the weak water ice jade jiao in his hands. Lin Yuan decided to feed Blackie the 2 drops of the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood. If he couldn't upgrade it to a main dragon species Fae, he would treat it as a waste of essence blood. Once it became a main dragon species Fae, Blackie's bloodline would overturn the common understanding that there were no main dragon species below the myth breed. In the eyes of some creation masters, this understanding couldn't be broken. However, in this half a year Lin Yuan had broken common sense and understanding countless times. His Blackie had always been nurtured with the best method, so it wasn't impossible to break common sense and understanding. As expected, Blackie didn't disappoint Lin Yuan. Instant Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1522. With 2 drops of rudimentary ice jade jiao's blood essence, Blackie's dragon power suddenly increased by a level. A large amount of clouds gathered around Blackie, making its 300-meter-long body faintly discernible. Golden lightning swam within the clouds and a torrential rain suddenly fell. A domineering and arrogant dragon roar echoed throughout the return from faraway manor. It symbolized the arrival of a master dragon. The angelfish of bliss in the hidden Wurm lake had gotten used to Blackie's presence. Knowing that Blackie would not harm them, they no longer hid from him. But now that Blackie's aura had changed, these angelfish of bliss began to hide from him again. Lin Yuan estimated that in the past 2 weeks, it would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely. It would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely in the hidden Wurm lake. In the boundless night, a wild laughter came from the mouth of a golden-haired uncle. Second page of revival. We are both kings on this trip. Don't expect me to assist you. The golden-haired uncle had an incomparably righteous face. This long face made the middle-aged man feel that whatever he did was righteous. The girl next door with a pair of gray wings behind her looked at the golden-haired uncle with dead eyes. His tone sounded like he was singing a funeral song. 6th page whipping. I don't care what you do on this trip. But in the Radiance Federation, when I need to use the sacred source life form, the Black Mass Cup, you have to activate it. I have lost contact with the 2 seeds of the garden-haired konjac in one of the clusters. I can no longer sense their presence by relying on the main body of the garden-haired konjac. I released these 2 seeds and clusters to absorb energy for the advancement of the round garden-haired konjac. Now that the main body of the garden-haired konjac is missing, I can't retrieve the seeds and clusters. The garden-haired konjac will never be able to cross that threshold. Baidu search. This will affect the 100-year plan of our tower cannon, the revival of the hibernators. Don't forget what Lady Scarlet told you when you came here. 6th page whipping's expression changed slightly when he heard 2nd page of revival. His sharp eyes stared at 2nd page of revival. The destiny page is dead, but the tower cannon's page will be replaced soon. I asked 3 pages eternal sin and he doesn't know who this Scarlet Page is. As soon as Scarlet Page arrived, he revealed his strength and gave us a show of strength. No one truly respects him, yet you call him Lord. It seems like the 2nd page of Renaissance knows the identity of the 1st page of Scarlet. I am the esteemed 6th page of the Pagoda Canon, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that even I, the grand 6th page, cannot see through the Pagoda Canon. It was rumored that in the depths of the sea around the Storm Federation, there was a huge sea dragon sleeping at the bottom of the sea. This legend had always been passed down by the navigators. But not long ago, Warren erased the sea dragon totem on the mast of the Warren. Warren carved 2 thrones on the mast according to his memory. A man with a Leo nebula above his head sat on a throne. On the other throne sat a woman with a Libra nebula above her head. Compared to the illusory sea dragon, Warren believed in these 2 figures more. For the god in Warren's heart. As he stood up, a cold light flashed across Warren's eyes. For the sake of resources, the Voyagers were always fighting over them. They were not willing to unite. However, his god wanted him to establish a faction. As for those voyagers who only wanted to fight for resources, he could only apologize. Anyone who obstructed his path had to die. Only those who were obedient would be able to survive. It was unknown if it was because he had contracted the blue-ringed sea octopus and had more interactions with it. Due to the influence of the blue-ringed sea octopus, Warren became more and more iron-blooded. However, only iron-blooded people would be able to achieve their goals more easily. It would also be easier to protect his old comrades. Based on the time, it should be almost 7 days. Warren was looking forward to the second gathering among the stars. At that moment, Warren felt a nebula among the stars giving him guidance. Warren's heart immediately became excited. After giving some instructions, Warren returned to his room. After locking the door, Warren responded to the call of the nebula. After 7 days, the gathering among the stars was going to start again. This time it wasn't just Lin. Bei Su, Talei, Bu Po and Warren were also participating. Sui Iran, who was in the Divine Wood Federation, also accepted this guidance. Surin would accept the guidance, but not because he had something to do at the Celestial Body Assembly. Not long ago, when Lin Yuan had helped the myth breed phase through the world cleansing and harvested spirit chi crystals. He had been to the Divine Wood Federation once. At that time, he had provided Sui Iran with all the supplies for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce for 3 months. At the same time, he had given her 20 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts. Holding these walnuts, Sui Iran thought for a long time. She had finally decided to choose 12 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts and make them into core bells. They hung on the 14 millet fruits. This could not only enhance the Love Square's prestige but also attract the descendants of the wealthy families in the Divine Wood Federation. To Su Iran, these descendants of the rich and powerful were the perfect source of information. They could help her obtain information that only the major factions would circulate in the Divine Wood Federation. Lin Yuan had already said that he would not come to the Divine Wood Federation in the short term. He had asked her to deal with the Divine Wood Federation's matters. At the same time, he had given her a magical piece of paper that could be written on with her spiritual power. Through the paper, even if she was on 2 different continents, she could still exchange information very well. But for some reason, Sui Iran really wanted to have the opportunity to sit face to face with Lin Yuan. Therefore, even if Sui Iran was fine after feeling the guidance, she still came to join in the fun. Lin Yuan, who was sitting on the golden throne of the Leo constellation, looked at the 6 people who had received guidance and nodded. It seemed that Bu Po and Warren had survived. Before Lin Yuan could say anything, Bu Po spoke with gratitude. "Lion, because of your help, my elder sister has escaped from the abyss of suffering. I have also become a Class 3 creation master. I'm Mother Earth now. I heard from the Heavenly Mother who tested me that she wants to take me to see the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is very likely to accept me as a disciple." When Bu Po saw Lin Yuan, it was as if she had seen a family member. She told him her experience without any scruples. Bei Su and Trey did not react to Bu Po's words. With Bei Su and Trey's information reserves, they had never heard of Earth Mother, Heavenly Mother, or the Divine Mother. However, Sui Iran, who was a Dark Envoy and Azure Envoy, were not unfamiliar with the Divine Mother Federation. They were no strangers to the Divine Mother Federation, which had Class 5 creation masters. Chapter 1524. As a navigator, Warren had also heard that it was not far from the Storm Federation. The Federation's combat power was abnormally strong. The appearance of a 14 or 15-year-old Class 3 creation master would definitely cause a commotion in the Mother Goddess Federation. Even if it appeared in the Dark 7 states in the Azure Federation, it would still be shocking. He immediately received the attention of the higher-ups. If this youth named Bu Po could become a Class 3 creation master at such a young age, Bu Po wouldn't be able to do so. There was at least an 80% chance that he would become a disciple of the Divine Mother. Of course, this was only possible in the Mother Goddess Federation. That was because the Mother Goddess Federation was like a machine that was perfectly fitted together. Every step of the operation would be reported to the Mother Goddess. There would be no accidents or mistakes. If it was the Azure Federation or the Dark 7 states, Bu Po might have been secretly hidden by some force and kept to be nurtured. Or perhaps he had attracted the jealousy of others on his path of growth and was assassinated. Lin wanted to befriend both Bu Po and Su Iran. Both of them were surprised by the value of being a member of the Celestial Council. Among these few people, there were actually so many envoys of the Federation. If it continued to develop, the Heavenly Body Council would probably become a miniature assembly of 10,000 states. Bu Po, who was thanking Lin Yuan, suddenly burst into tears for some reason. After getting Lin Yuan's help, Bu Po was no longer as bitter as before. He and his sister were living a life that they had never dared to imagine in the past. It was also because of this that Bu Po's mood was so agitated after seeing Lin Yuan. Warren knelt on both knees and kowtowed to Wen Yu and Lin Yuan devoutly. Leo Libra, I've already established the fledgling Voyage Guild. After this, I will do my best to gather the fleet together. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Warren was definitely a career-oriented person. In just a short 7 days he had already established the basic structure of his force. Trey came to Bu Po's side from the moment her tears fell. Step up to comfort Amber. Seeing that Bu Po was no longer crying, Trey said to Lin Yuan. Master, Grandpa caught a group of rockhorn camels in the wasteland. When these rockhorn camels run, they are more than twice as fast as we normally run. In another 27 or 28 days, I will be able to reach the border of the Divine Wood Federation. There were less than 20 days left before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. After the Radiance 100 sequence selection, he would let Swiren meet with Trey. Then they would apply for the territory at the border. Over at Beishu's side it was still the same. However, with Lin Yuan's help, Beishu had become a creation master. The grade and quality of his subordinate source-type items had improved. The current Beishu was no longer dragging a bunch of fuel bottles into battle. These oil bottles all had combat strength and they were more than enough to help Beishu. When the Celestial Council was about to end, Lin said softly to Lin Yuan. I still have 12 days before I can reach the Radiance Federation. The Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission is also traveling with me. On the way here, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission wanted to form an alliance with us, but I rejected them. Upon hearing Lin's words, the expressions on Lin Yuan and Wen Yu's faces changed significantly. Before Lin could finish her words, Lin paused for a moment before continuing. The Freedom Federation's envoy team must be plotting something against Hui Yao. It's just that I'm not sure what this idea is. In addition, you have to be careful of a source-type item called Cocoon Demon Embryo. Fortunately, I managed to keep the 12 cocooned demon embryos that they traded with me. But we can't rule out the possibility that they have more cocoon demon embryos in their hands. Lin Yuan and Wen Yu looked at each other. Obviously, they had never heard of something like a cocoon demon embryo. It was no wonder, as the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had always been enemies. However, the Azure Federation, the Radiance Federation, and the Freedom Federation had established diplomatic relations. The Azure Federation naturally had a better understanding of the Freedom Federation's situation than the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan attached great importance to Lin's information. It was expected that the Freedom Federation's envoys would cause trouble during the Radiance 100 sequence selection. At that time it would definitely be a head-on clash and there would be no tricks to speak of. However, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission would choose to ally with the Azure Federation's diplomatic mission. The original conflict between the two federations was dragged into a third federation. It seemed like the movement of the Freedom Federation's diplomatic corps would be very big. Lin would deliberately remind him to be careful of source-type items like cocoon demon embryos. Lin Yuan felt that he had to ask about the demon embryo's function. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Lin explained in detail. The cocoon demon embryo is a special source-type item that can cause insect-type carcinoma phase to mutate and gain intelligence. Break through the restraints of the original rank, comprehend the willpower rune, and continuously evolve toward a fantasy breed and myth breed. At this point Lin had already explained the dangers of cocooning demon embryos. However, when Lin Yuan and Wen Yu heard Lin's explanation, their eyes lit up. The cocoon demon embryo was a source-type item tailor-made for Lu Jie. Lu Jie's current fighting style was no longer just controlling the insect queen. Most of them relied on the insect queen to control those insect-type carcinoma phase. This made Lu Jie different from ordinary spirit chi professionals. Instead, it was more like a catastrophe engine. Controlling an insect-type carcinoma fae to fight might be powerful, but it wasn't the same as controlling an insect fae. However, this kind of strength was only targeted at the environment, not at a single individual. As a result, when Lu Jie fought against prodigies with multiple phases, he had no advantage at all. No matter how strong the insect queen was, it was still an insect-type source-type life form. However, if he had the cocoon transformation demon embryo, he would be able to break through all of his insect species carcinoma phase. Could be used as a fey. Such a Lu Jie was terrifying. Lin Yuan, and when you could already predict what a terrifying humanoid disaster Lu Jie would become. The demon embryo cocoon was the opportunity that Lu Jie had been waiting for. According to what Yin Lin had just said, there were a total of 12 cocoon demon embryos. And they were all in Yin Lin's hands. Lin Yuan said to Yin Lin very seriously, "I'm very interested in the 12 cocoon demon embryos in your hands. I wonder if I can trade with you?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Yin Lin replied subconsciously, "Lion, I'll just give it to you directly. These things are useless in my hands." However, the matter of cocooning the demon embryo is of great importance. It's not appropriate for me to stay in the listening heron chamber of commerce. Once the person in charge is negligent, it is very likely to bring disaster to the Radiant sect. That's why, Lion, I want to meet you and personally hand you the cocooned demon embryo. Chapter 1525. Su Yiren pursed her lips at Yin Lin's words. To Su Yiren, Yin Lin was beyond saving. It was clearly a deal, but you didn't want anything in return. You just wanted to meet her face. From Su Yiren's point of view, Yin Lin, this Azure envoy, was a little silly. However, Su Yiren had forgotten that she also wanted to see Lin Yuan. That was why he came to the Celestial Body Council to join in the fun. Upon hearing Yin Lin's words, Lin Yuan hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Okay, let's meet at the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce." Upon hearing that, Yin Lin's eyes flashed with a trace of anticipation, excitement, and nervousness. The star-studded banquet came to an end in Yin Lin's anticipation. After the heavenly body meeting ended, Lin Yuan continued to enhance phase as usual. He was seeking to break through as a spirit chi professional. At the same time, he observed Chimey and Genius. In these few days, Miao Zhinshan's heart fell from the clouds to the bottom of the valley. Finally, it sank into the bottomless abyss. The Miao family's beast creation garden was prepared to rebuild its glory with the blood of the 7 old families. Within 4 days, he had arranged 7 blood oath extreme battles. The Miao family's beast creation garden was already notorious. Miao Zhinshan was not afraid that the Miao family's beast creation garden would bear even more notoriety. The resources of the 7 veteran factions, together with the new emperor-level experts of the Miao family's beast creation garden, it was enough for the Miao family's beast creation garden to recover to its peak. Moreover, Lin Yuan had already spoken before. Miao Zhinshan refused to believe that Sky City would help these veteran powers if he did not provoke them. But Miao Zhinshan never thought that things would really develop in a direction that he couldn't believe. In the first Blood Oath Extreme battle, the Miao family's beast creation garden had already lost 3 Emperor-class experts. The Miao family's beast creation garden had once again become the laughing-stock of the entire Radiance Federation. Even the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple became a topic of discussion on the Star Web again. Miao Zhinshan's first reaction was to contact Lin Yuan. However, Miao Zhinshan found that Lin Yuan's phone could no longer be reached. Another 2 days passed and the Miao family lost 12 Emperor-level experts in a row. More than half of the great Emperor-level powerhouses of the Miao family had been killed. These were the foundations of the Miao family's beast creation garden. At this moment, Miao Zhinshan's heart was suddenly filled with regret. Since he could not contact Lin Yuan, Miao Zhinshan could only contact the other top factions that had established relations with the Miao family's beast creation garden. He wanted to ask these top forces for help. In the end, these top forces directly shed all pretense of cordiality with Miao Zhinshan. Fuck. Chapter 1526. The mother of Bloodbath, who had discovered the delivery function, placed orders in the spirit food pavilion like flowing water. Half of the dishes made by the chefs of the imperial capital's spirit food pavilion were probably sent to the return from faraway manor. He felt that if he introduced Zhou Xian to the mother of Bloodbath, the 2 of them would definitely become the best foodie partners. On this day, Lin Yuan was eating downstairs as usual. The glow-winged butterflies living in the purple sandalwood longevity fish tank and spirit-containing hibiscus were flying in the house as usual. The glow-winged butterfly's skill had the ability to remove dust. It could be said that the glow-winged butterfly had always been the most diligent housekeeper in the manor. The glow-winged butterflies fluttering in the manor were already a scene that everyone was used to seeing. Very few people would look at these glow-winged butterflies again. While eating the takeaway, the bored Lin Yuan wanted to take a look at the 5 fortune ranchu in the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. At that moment, Lin Yuan keenly noticed that a cluster of spirit-containing hibiscuses on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank had withered. That shouldn't be the case. Although the 3-tailed dragon phoenix landscape carps had been placed in the hidden flood dragon lake, the 5 fortune ranchu was still in the fish tank. After such a long time, Lin Yuan would place his hand on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank and inject pure spirit chi into it. This vat of 5 fortune ranches had already reached bronze X/epic. The spiritual energy released by the 99 bronze/epic 5 fortune ranches was already comparable to the spiritual energy content of a 2-star spirit liquid. Under the nourishment of this level of spirit chi, the spirit-containing hibiscuses had no reason to wilt. He decided to check out the situation. As a result, just as Lin Yuan approached and was about to touch this withered spirit-containing hibiscus with his hand, a dark red figure flew out from the withered spirit-containing hibiscuses. There was an obvious sense of fierceness and loneliness on this figure. However, this figure did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead, it circled around Lin Yuan and hesitated for a moment. Finally, it tentatively landed on Lin Yuan's collar and met his gaze. Its body was dark red and its wings were like phoenix feathers. There were flame patterns in the shape of annual rings on its butterfly wings. This completely matched the appearance of the Nirvana sea butterfly. Originally, Lin Yuan did not know much about the Nirvana butterfly. However, during this period of time, in order to improve Purple Cloud's quality and restore its confidence, Lin Yuan had not given up. He looked through all the information he could find on the Nirvana butterfly. He also used his connections to ask others to help him search for the Nirvana sea butterfly. But so far Lin Yuan had not gotten any valuable feedback. He used Morbius' exclusive ability, True Data, to check on the red butterfly on his shoulder. Fey name, Nirvana abyss butterfly, spirit species, scale butterfly/swallowtail, Fey grade, bronze 7/10, Fey type, fire/spiritual Fey quality, flawless skills frowny face scale fire, flaps its wings to scatter scale powder. When activated, the scale powder can quickly ignite into flames and set all targets on fire. Quenching reinforcement. Use scale powder to form a quenching layer on the surface of the shield. The quenching layer can resist non-water damage and at the same time, increase the defensive capabilities of the tempered shield. Exclusive skill frowny face rebirth from the flames. When killed, as long as there is a flame from the scale powder, the target can be reborn from the flame. At first glance, Lin Yuan found that this red butterfly was really the Nirvana sea butterfly. It really didn't take any effort to find it. He had searched hard, but there had been no news. It turned out that what he was looking for had already appeared in the mansion. Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the different glowing winged butterfly he had found before. At that time he seemed to have found a glowing winged butterfly and was about to check it out. In the end he was disturbed by something. That glowing winged butterfly must be this Nirvana sea butterfly. During the process of the glowing winged butterfly's metamorphosis into the Nirvana sea butterfly, its original wood-type energy would turn into fire-type. As a wood-type Fey, the glowing winged butterfly was very afraid of fire-type energy. This made the glowing winged butterfly very resistant to contact with the Nirvana sea butterfly and not dare to get close to it. This was the real reason why the Nirvana sea butterfly had left the group. Through the records, Lin Yuan learned that the Nirvana sea butterfly had a very fiery temper. It liked to cast scale powder on other targets and ignite them. Now the Nirvana sea butterfly did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead it showed a close attitude toward him. It meant that this Nirvana sea butterfly still remembered Lin Yuan's kindness in strengthening it. Lin Yuan raised his hand, and the Nirvana sea butterfly on his shoulder suddenly flew up. It landed firmly on Lin Yuan's fingertips. Seeing red butterfly on his fingertips, Lin Yuan was overjoyed. Firstly, purple firmament's quality could be smoothly improved. Secondly, Zhou Xian had a new Fey. The Nirvana sea butterfly's normal ability, Scale Fire, could make it a fanatic that attracted fire everywhere. If the Nirvana sea butterfly wanted to, it could release scale powder in the mansion in the middle of the night. The house, which was surrounded by completely jade-textured wood, would burn in an instant. As the Nirvana sea butterfly's strength increased, the scale fire's power would become stronger. Moreover, the ignition effect was to urge the target's energy to burn. It would consume the target's energy. When the Nirvana sea butterfly was powerful to a certain extent, the scale fire it released could even ignite a river. The Nirvana sea butterfly's exclusive skill, born from flames, was very compatible with the normal ability scale fire. As a butterfly fae of the scale butterfly species, the scale powder on its wings could be easily regenerated. If the scale powder fell within a certain range, even if the Nirvana sea butterfly was killed by a powerful enemy, it could still use the fire ignited by the scale powder to revive. It was a kind of fae that could be indestructible in a special way. Of course, the Nirvana sea butterfly also had a natural enemy. The Nirvana sea butterfly, which relied on burning its scale powder to revive, was most afraid of fighting in the sea and other environments when it was not strong enough. As long as the Nirvana sea butterfly was not strong enough to ignite the seawater, the scattered scale powder would be washed away by the current. The Nirvana sea butterfly would not have the chance to burn from flames. Ice-type faes were also the Nirvana sea butterfly's nemesis. Igniting ice was much more difficult than igniting water. Moreover, in an extremely cold environment, the scale powder ignited was easier to extinguish. The reason Lin Yuan decided to make the Nirvana sea butterfly Chu Si's fourth fae was not because of its normal ability and exclusive heat. It was because of the Nirvana sea butterfly's elite ability Ice Quench Reinforcement. The Nirvana sea butterfly was a defense-type fae. There were no standard defense-type faes among Chu Si's current contracted faes. Regardless of whether it was the yellow jadeite golden butterfly or the acne crystal clam that she was about to contract, they could all apply a shield. The Nirvana sea butterfly's quenching reinforcement could effectively enhance these shields. At the same time, the surface of the quenched shield could be aggressive. When used on the obsidian iron wild bull, it could make it more reckless. This kind of quenching ability was also very compatible with the burning sunflower twins. The two of them could enhance each other. Chapter 1527. The most important reason was that this Nirvana show butterfly was beautiful enough. With this Nirvana butterfly and acne crystal muscle, she would definitely be able to take off the title of Iron Ox Princess. Lin Yuan returned to the Spirit Lock spatial zone with the Nirvana obsidian butterfly. Seeing the Nirvana butterfly, Zishao immediately perked up. The moment Zishao saw the Nirvana butterfly also noticed Zishao. Butterfly species faes all had the characteristic of pursuing beauty. This Nirvana butterfly had already begun to circle around the purple firmament. He had turned from a cold and aloof fellow into a bootlicker. The Nirvana butterfly was one of the top 3 butterfly bloodlines. Including the Slaughter Sky butterfly, he had already mastered 2 of the 3 supreme butterfly species bloodlines. Without needing Lin Yuan to say anything, Purple Firmament had already let the Nirvana butterfly absorb the spirit chi in the Spirit Lock spatial zone and rapidly secrete the scale powder. Purple Cloud quickly absorbed the powder secreted by the Nirvana butterfly. Following the absorption of the Nirvana butterfly scale powder, Purple Cloud's quality increased at a visible rate. He advanced from Fantasy I to Fantasy II, then Fantasy III. In the end, it was upgraded to Fantasy V. In Lin Yuan's opinion, there was nothing different about the Purple Firmament. She was as beautiful as ever. The Purple Heaven Beauty butterfly was already at the top of the pyramid in the world of attractiveness. There was no reference for comparison. However, if the current Purple Firmament was compared to the previous Purple Firmament, the Zixiao of the past and the current Zixiao were on completely different levels of existence. If Fantasy I's Purple Cloud was compared to the hotel's Little Pink, the current Fantasy V Purple Firmament was the Luo River's god of Luo. Since it was so beautiful in its Fey form, Lin Yuan was very curious about how Purple Firmament, a male butterfly, would look when it transformed into its human form. Now all of his Fays were only lacking Chimey and Genius, which had been upgraded to Fantasy V. He would be able to reach the peak of his strength in a short period of time. After 2 more days of hard work, Lin Yuan, who had enhanced all the Fays in the order, finally had some free time. Lin Yuan logged onto StarWeb and found that, apart from the popular posts about the Miao family's beast creation garden, Sky City, and the Moon Empress disciple, there were many other popular posts on StarWeb's forum. There were also many hot posts about his identity as black. Lin Yuan could not help but be curious. It had been a while since his identity as black had shown up. He didn't even challenge the Heaven's Stairway. How could it become a hot topic on StarWeb? This was simply not right. When Lin Yuan clicked on the post to check, he immediately knew what was going on. The Radiance 100 sequence test was about to begin. At that time, as long as he used Black's identity and revealed more strength, he would naturally stand in the center of StarWeb's public opinion again. All the doubts would be shattered on their own. Just as Lin Yuan was about to check his purchase with No Loss Stores fan club. He wanted to see what he had gained from the auction of the Heavenly Maiden Grade Elemental Pearls. However, before Lin Yuan could check his gains, he was touched by a message in the group. Stream in the cloud. Have you seen this post? Why doesn't Black appear to fight a few celestial stairway duels to shatter these doubts? As an old fan of Black, I feel very uncomfortable, but no matter how much I say, I can't change these doubts. Violent-tempered woman, I can't talk anymore. I'm going to pack up immediately and follow Big Sister Exen to fight Black's celestial stairway duels. Zhou Xian, look at this post. Anyway, Black will always appear in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Lin Yuan looked at the post shared by Zhou Xian and gently clicked on it. It was a group chat message in Black's official fan club. There were tens of thousands of messages and it was impossible to read them all. However, Lin Yuan could read a special feeling from these messages. It turned out that his identity as Black had unknowingly become a lighthouse in many people's hearts. With so many expectations, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that he had been too lazy to fight the celestial stairway. In fact, it was also a kind of neglect of these people. The power of faith contributed by Black's identity to Lin Yuan was now much less than his identity as the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple. Even though Black's identity had not appeared for a long time, the light spot of faith belonging to Black in the shrine was still bright. Since they were all waiting for Black's news. Since it was close to the Radiance 100 sequence, Lin Yuan did not mind letting Black show his face to warm up. Chapter 1528. On the one hand, he could use the popularity of this topic to gather some new fans. On the other hand, he could also repay his supporters. Tell them that I'm still here. I'm just working hard in the dark. Lin Yuan exited his StarWeb account. He took out his cell phone and called Tian Ningning. Lin Yuan said to Tian Ningning, I'm going to the celestial stairway. I'm going to the celestial stairway. When Tian Ningning heard that, she immediately exclaimed in surprise. As Black's exclusive reporter, Tian Ningning became an administrator of Black's official fan club. The information she got was many times more than what Lin Yuan saw. Tian Ningning had the thought of looking for Lin Yuan and asking him to appear as Black countless times. But in the end, he rejected all of these ideas. 2 days ago, Tian Ningning had freeloaded a meal at the Return from Faraway Manor and knew how busy Lin Yuan was recently. Even so, Tian Ningning, who treated Black as a kind of faith, watched her faith being slandered. She still felt terrible. Now that she knew Lin Yuan was going to the celestial stairway as Black, Tian Ningning immediately said, Lin Yuan, share with me a first-person perspective. No matter how many matches you fight, I can write the combat record tonight. Lin Yuan smiled and said, Lin Yuan, share with me a first-person perspective. Today's combat record should be very easy to write. Today's combat record should be very easy to write. You don't need to spend much time. After communicating with Tian Ningning, Lin Yuan logged into StarWeb as Black. He arrived at the StarWeb tower and matched them. Lin Yuan had already reached Star 14 on the celestial stairway, and most of the opponents he encountered had a platinum Fey. Occasionally he would encounter some strong opponents who might have a gold or above fantasy breed Fey. Such strength could be easily dealt with by Lin Yuan in the past. Now Lin Yuan could easily take out one of his Feys and get rid of such opponents. Even if it was the Jasmine Lily that focused on healing. However, Lin Yuan couldn't summon a few Feys during the celestial stairway duels. This included the Jasmine Lily. Once the Jasmine Lily was summoned, it was equivalent to exposing his identity as Lin Yuan. Once Black was exposed, Lin Yuan used Black's exclusive skill, Spirit Purity Burst, to attack the opponent's Fey like a humanoid Fey. Perhaps ordinary people on Star Web wouldn't have any reaction. However, those who participated in the Nix assembly could still easily guess his identity. Genius transformed into a mask and wore it on his face. Chimey was constantly working hard to improve its quality. Lin Yuan did not wish to waste Chimey's time. After all, compared to Genius consuming the Spirit Wisdom Purple Ganoderma to increase its quality, Chimey needed a longer time to increase its quality. Therefore he was only left with the Source Sand and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee. He planned to let the Diamond X/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee fight at the beginning of the battle. He wanted the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee to hone her combat skills through battle. The improvement of the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee's battle technique would help her understand the Willpower Rune. After Poison Beauty became a contracted live streamer of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. With the support of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, he was now a real live streamer. He no longer needed to be the goalie of the Celestial Stairway and rely on his performance to gain the attention of the fans. Poison Beauty, who relied on the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to earn money, used all the money she earned to improve her strength. The phase had been greatly improved based on their previous standards. Among them, Poison Beauty's main phase, the Illusory Mist Jackdaw and the Poison-Weaving Dark Spider, had reached Platinum. They had also found a Creation Master to raise their quality to Epic. Such strength allowed Poison Beauty to still have room for improvement even if she reached the 14th stair of the Celestial Stairway. Ever since she became a live streamer selling luxury goods, Poison Beauty rarely had time to livestream battles on Star Web. However, the rich Poison Beauty did not forget her old fans. She still livestreamed outside of work, fighting, scolding, criticizing, commenting and muting. However, Poison Beauty, who was live streaming again, was no longer performing. Instead, she intended to test where her limits were. After all, she had spent so much money to enhance phase. Wouldn't the money she earned be wasted? However, Poison Beauty did not expect that the Star Web duels she carried out in her spare time would increase the stickiness of her fans. Instead, it increased the stickiness of the fans who paid attention to her because of the luxury goods. Poison Beauty, who was matched with an opponent, planned to say harsh words as usual when she was matched with an opponent in a while. She wanted to play with the mentality of a team player. It would also make the audience in her live streaming room more passionate. However, when she saw that the person she was matched with was wearing a silver mask, she was not the only one stunned. Even the audience in Poison Beauty's live streaming room was stunned. It was not that no one on Star Web wore a silver mask during a Star Web duel. It was just that the popularity of the black mask had been decreasing recently. There were also fewer and fewer people imitating it. Furthermore, most of the people who could fight their way to the Celestial Stairway were experts. Experts all hoped to fight in their own style and have their own unique label. Therefore, such imitations were very rare on the Celestial Stairway. Blue Wind and Rain are, this person isn't black, right? Although he is not wearing black clothes, his figure and height are definitely black. Chapter 1530. The group had been talking about Black recently, so Master Duanli decided to find out more about him. She happened to see the live stream today. Facing such a young talent and a Radiance hero at that, Duanli felt that she should voice out her support. With such strength, he was indeed worthy of her support. The true top experts of the younger generation were probably only as strong as him. If Black had a sacred source life form, he would be able to stand up to the top experts of the younger generation. Such a person should not be slandered. Duanli could already foresee how dazzling Black would be in the Radiance 100 sequence test. Master Duanli's post shocked the netizens on the galactic web. It also excited Black's fans. Be it the netizens or Black's old fans, they all exclaimed in their hearts. How could Black be so strong? Did he eat Jinkala? When everyone found Black's tracks again in a live broadcast room, they were shocked. They suddenly realized that Black had gone from Celestial Stairway 15 stars when he defeated Poison Beauty to Celestial Stairway 22 stars now. It was hard to imagine how Black had won 7 consecutive Celestial Stairway duels in less than 20 minutes. Excluding the matching and entry protection time, could it be that every match took less than 10 seconds? The duel on the 22nd floor was still won by the B-Source type life form. This Star Web streamer who was lucky enough to meet Lin Yuan had a lack of phase. Even when he reached the Celestial Stairway, his reputation was still mediocre. But now, because of Black's popularity, his fans had skyrocketed by nearly 10 times. The star web streamers who realized this even when they were off the air. They all opened their livestream rooms and started star web matchmaking. They were all looking forward to being lucky enough to match Black. Even if they were killed by Black in one move. No matter how pathetic they were, as long as they met, they would be the topic in popularity. What Lin Yuan did not know was that he had become a gold ingot in the eyes of many star web streamers. Everyone wanted to hug him. Xianxia was not a veteran streamer in the star web streamer circle. There were streamers who streamed star web battles from his first battle in the Star Tower all the way to the 50th and 60th floor of the Celestial Stairway. From his youth all the way to his middle age. Xianxia had only streamed for 5 or 6 months and had gained a lot of popularity. Firstly, it was because Xianxia was eloquent and could easily stir up the atmosphere of the audience during a battle. Secondly, Xianxia was a former Radiance 100 sequence member. Although Xianxia had failed in the Radiance 100 sequences selection last year, he had not been selected. However, he was still a Radiance 100 sequence member. Those who had the ability to enter the Radiance 100 sequence would be eliminated later on. He could still prove his talent. In Xianxia's eyes, the Radiance 100 sequence members were all old coins. Everyone was trying their best to hide their strength. The Radiance 100 sequence members sometimes had to cooperate with the Star Web's publicity and conduct Celestial Stairway duels in public. However, during the duel he did not even pull out his main Fei. He had even used the Fei that he had used during his first appearance on Star Web as his signature Fei to show to the audience. When watching the Radiance 100 sequence members' Celestial Stairway duels, they could only see a celebrity effect. Don't even think about getting anything out of it. This allowed Xianxia, who had just started streaming the Stairway duels, to find a direction to stream. Xianxia first displayed his strength and fought his way to the 50th step of the Stairway to Heaven. He had revealed a part of his trump card. Then he started to sink. After sinking to the 20th step of the Celestial Stairway, Xianxia started to teach the audience in the live streaming room. He used this teaching method to gain a large number of die-hard fans. At that moment, Xianxia was also matching like the other Star Web live streamers. He was chatting with the audience in the live streaming room. During the duel in a while, I will teach you how to use the Tiger Species Phase aura in battle. Maple blows fallen leaves. Big Brother Yang, if your opponent doesn't have a Beast Species Fei, the Golden Spear Battle Tiger's aura will be useless. Upon seeing the bullet comments, Xianxia smiled and replied. It doesn't matter if the opponent doesn't have a Beast Species Fei. As long as it is a Fei with intelligence, it will be affected by the aura. This is also why Dragon Species, Tiger Species and Phoenix Species Feis are so popular. Ink of Memories. Yang Black is matching at the 20th step of the Celestial Stairway. Do you think he will get you? Upon hearing that, Xianxia replied with a chuckle. It will be great if he can get me. I have seen the post you guys shared in the live streaming room just now. A Diamond X/Legend Insect Type Source Type Lifeform strength is about the same as a Platinum X/Fantasy I Fei. I might not be able to beat Black, but my Golden Spear Battle Tiger should be able to fight with him for a while. Passing high school student. Yang, you are too modest. Your Golden Spear Battle Tiger is a Platinum V/Fantasy II Fei. It has speed, attack and defense. If you really fight, that insect type source type lifeform is not your match at all. Growing all the way. Yang, you were a Radiance 100 sequence member previously, and Black is also going to compete for a Radiance 100 sequence position. What do you think are Black's chances of being selected? Xianxia did not reply to the first question. Firstly, the Golden Spear Battle Tiger might not be his strongest Fei, but it was already considered one of his trump cards. Chapter 1531. Of course, Xianxia could only think about it in his heart and not say it out loud. Suddenly, Xianxia was matched with an opponent and was pulled into the battle space. At this moment, Xianxia was surprised to discover something. The opponent he was matched with was actually really Black. Xianxia waved his hand and summoned the Golden Spear Battle Tiger. He raised his head and said to the audience in the live broadcast room, "If Black still uses that insect-type source-type life form, the advantage of the Golden Spear Battle Tiger will really be useful. Sometimes might can be fused into an attack to be used." As usual, Xianxia started teaching in the live stream. At this time, a large number of viewers heard the news and rushed into the live broadcast room. They could not help but recognize him. He was the former Radiance 100 Sequence 94, Xianxia, who was titled Twin Tigers. Then he clicked on Xiangyan's follow button. The star web was simply too big. As a second world that carried the Huiyao and all the ordinary people, the star web was freer. This made it so that even though Xianxia had started a live broadcast, not many people noticed him. Xiangyang's livestream room had become an entrance to traffic. It attracted the attention of the viewers who discovered this treasure. On Lin Yuan's side, he also realized that he had encountered another host. Lin Yuan had previously checked the Radiance 100 Sequence members' information in detail. Lin Yuan recognized that Xiangyang was a former Radiance 100 Sequence member. Lin Yuan simply nodded at Xiangyang. Lin Yuan's action startled Xiangyang, and he knew that Lin Yuan had recognized him. He saw that the number of viewers in his live streaming room had increased from a few million to tens of millions. And it was still increasing. Xiangyang waved his hand and summoned his main Fei. An 8-meter-long multicolored tiger roared fiercely. A murderous aura filled the air. The multicolored tiger's might made the platinum/fantasy gold spear battle tiger lose all sense of existence. Upon seeing the Fei that Xiangyang had summoned, Lin Yuan immediately checked it. With a glance, he realized that this Fei was called the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger. Its strength was at Platinum X/Fantasy 3, and it was considered an outstanding existence among tiger species Feis. Lin Yuan could sense that Xiangyang was a B-rank spirit chi professional. It seemed like Xiangyang had not gone through the role step. Otherwise, the Fei's strength should be able to reach diamond easily. Xiangyang did not hesitate to summon his trump card, winning the applause of the audience in the live broadcast room. This made Black's fans extremely excited. They all started to tip Xiangyang's live stream. In the eyes of Black's fans, it was too difficult for Black to do business. Xiangyang's current behavior was equivalent to forcing Black to expose more Feis. Black's insect-type source-type life form was clearly no longer a match for the Platinum X/Fantasy 3 Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger. Lin Yuan looked at Xiangyang's main Fei and had a trace of doubt in his heart. He did not understand why Xiangyang had been eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence with his strength. Even if Xiangyang had made great progress in the past year, he would not be able to do so. 1 year ago, it should not have been difficult to rank in the top 60 of the Radiance 100 sequence. Xiangyang had mixed feelings as he looked at the audience's praises. During the Radiance 100 sequence selection, his Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger had obtained a fortuitous encounter, evolved its bloodline and fallen into a deep sleep. He could not just rely on the Golden Spear Battle Tiger to fight and be eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence. After the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger was eliminated, Xiangyang was glad that the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger's bloodline had successfully transformed. It was a pity that after being eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence, he would only be able to apply for the test again after 1 year. Otherwise, Xiangyang would have appeared in this year's Radiance 100 sequence again. Xiangyang said while looking at Black. Black, I suggest that you open a Star Web live streaming room the next time you fight a Celestial Stairway duel. Right now, almost everyone in my live broadcast room is your fans. They are all looking forward to your duel. I have summoned my trump card. I should be able to use one more Fei than you. Xiangyang raised his head and said to the livestream room. I helped you guys get some benefits. Don't forget to follow me. As soon as Xiangyang finished speaking, someone in the live broadcast room immediately responded. Zuan, got it. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have seen Black on Star Web for half a year. Violent-tempered woman. So can you work harder and force Black to summon another Fei? Upon hearing Xiangyang's words, Lin Yuan shook his wrist. An amber button-like object landed at Lin Yuan's feet. The last time he had used the source sand in the Star Web duel, he had been matched with a wilderness. This time he was matched with an arena made of green bricks and white tiles. The source sand burrowed into the ground and broke a hole in the floor tiles. Many people noticed the abnormality under Lin Yuan's feet. Lin Yuan still sent out the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee when facing an opponent stronger than the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee. After fighting for a while, he didn't have the chance to replenish his acid-swallowing larvae. The Acid Corrosion Queen Bee was soon at a disadvantage. In the end, he was killed by the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger with a single claw strike. In the process of fighting, Lin Yuan spent a lot of time. The acid corrosion queen bee needed to comprehend a willpower rune to advance into a fantasy breed. Chapter 1532. In the post, Master Duanli pointed out that Black's elemental source-type life form was a diamond/fantasy breed. As for the specific grade and quality, Black had not used his full strength. Moreover, he had only used the sand particles controlled by the elemental source-type life form, so there was no way to analyze it. Master Duanli's post revealed two pieces of information. The first was a diamond/fantasy breed. The second was an elemental source-type life form. These two pieces of information shocked the Star Web audience. A diamond/fantasy breed was already a match for the top 30 of the Radiance 100 sequence. Black had a diamond/fantasy breed life form. Didn't that mean that he had the ability to enter the Radiance 100 sequence in the second year? Was he trying to enter the top 30? Many posts had been clamoring that Black's ability was not as good as Lin Yuan and Zhou Xian. Now it seemed that Zhou Xian had a bronze/fantasy breed Fae at the age of 15. This kind of talent was still comparable to Black's. However, the strength that Lin Yuan had shown in defeating Meng Su was not enough in front of Black. Lin Yuan's fighting style was the red light that could absorb vitality. However, if Black used the yellow sand to block, the light could not penetrate the yellow sand. The yellow sand itself did not have any vitality for Lin Yuan to absorb. When comparing geniuses, one would always be praised and the other would be stepped on. This made many of Lin Yuan's fans restless. In addition, many of the veteran factions and top factions recognized Lin Yuan's identity at the Nyx assembly. Looking at Star Web, some people praised Black and stepped on Lin Yuan. The top factions and the younger generation of the veteran factions all made a move. How dare you say that the Moon Empress disciple is not as strong as Black? Black might be strong, but does he have a sacred source life form? Does he have the ability to resist the attack of a Diamond X/Fantasy V Fae with just his physical body? Lin Yuan, who was fighting on Star Web, realized that the power of faith of Lin Yuan and Black's identities was rapidly increasing. This made Lin Yuan feel that he could have a few more Celestial Stairway duels if he had time. From there he could harvest the power of faith so that Blue could quickly become a fantasy breed. Lin Yuan did not stop and continued to fight. He found that almost all his opponents were Star Web streamers. After all, few people did not want to grasp such a good opportunity. However, no matter how hard they tried, they could not force Lin Yuan to use a second move. Every time the opponent summoned a Fae, a giant yellow sand hand would appear and end the battle. In 2 hours, Lin Yuan had gone from the 14th to the 50th Celestial Stairway. This speed once again refreshed the Star Web's data. And more importantly, until now Lin Yuan still maintained a winning record. Chapter 1533. In addition, since you have broken the record on the Celestial Stairways streak list, you can pass a challenge to determine if you can obtain the Sanctuary title. If you accept the challenge, we will arrange your duel in the next round. This duel will be broadcasted live on Star Web. Lin Yuan raised his brows when he saw the email from the Star Web officials. He had come to challenge the Celestial Stairway because he saw so many fans waiting for him. They were all fans. In addition, he felt that he was simply too bored after fighting for so long. Generally, only experts who reached the Celestial Stairway's 100th step and above would be arranged by Star Web to take the Sanctuary test, to see if they could obtain the Sanctuary title. Under normal circumstances, those with the Sanctuary title were experts with Diamond X/Fantasy V phase. Of course, there were also some Pinnacle King-class experts who reached the Celestial Stairway's 100th step. They still could not obtain the Sanctuary title. Such people were generally known as the Sanctuary Gatekeepers. Lin Yuan, who was bored, simply agreed to Star Web's arrangement. It was not a bad thing for the last duel to be broadcasted live on Star Web. After receiving Lin Yuan's reply, the person in charge of Star Web immediately replied excitedly. Star Web, please give Star Web 3 hours of publicity time. 3 hours later, the duel will be arranged at the Starlight Gladiator Arena. At that time, you will be matched with a corresponding opponent. Upon seeing the message from the Star Web officials, Lin Yuan simply logged out of Star Web temporarily. He was going to wait for more than 2 hours before going online for the last duel. Lin Yuan actually did not have many special feelings about winning so many duels in a row. If he had to find an emotion, Lin Yuan felt that so many Celestial Stairway duels should be quite boring. Lin Yuan fought 65 Celestial Stairway duels in a row. The first 30 duels were defeated by the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee in one strike. Later on, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee fought with the enemy and was killed. Then Lin Yuan let the Source Sand attack and defeat the enemy. This feeling was like playing a mobile game. He had to refresh the same map over and over again, and he had to keep watching. Lin Yuan stretched his body and picked up a book on the table to read. Although Genius had comprehended the Knowledge Willpower rune, Lin Yuan had never abandoned the habit of reading books. Lin Yuan's phase strength had basically been raised to the limit. Unless he broke through as a spirit chi professional, there would be no room for the Fae to be enhanced. Ever since Morbius had fallen asleep, he had not communicated with it for a long time. Right now he was most eager to comprehend a willpower rune related to the soul. Furthermore, Black's authority was even higher than his. He was not qualified to check Black's information. This level of encryption could only be done by the three lords who had built Star Web. Furthermore, the three lords could not check each other's encrypted information. If Wang Zhong wanted to check Black's information, the lord who had encrypted it would definitely know. Since this lord valued Black so much, Wang Zhong did not know how to arrange an opponent for Black. Therefore Wang Zhong simply sent a letter and handed it over to them. He was prepared to see the lord's opinion. The Spirit Guards, the Radiance Royal Court, the Radiance Sacred Hall, and many other departments had received the news of the change of the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list. In the Radiance Royal Court, an old man sitting on a reclining chair looked at the young girl next to him with loving eyes. "Qing, you always refuse to accept this and that. You have nothing to say now, right? You didn't break the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record, but someone else did. It's a winning streak, unlike you and Qi Ruo, who had fought for 1.5 years." The young girl called Qing, beside the old man, had a slight change in her eyes. She knew very well how difficult it was to win 50 consecutive duels on the Celestial Stairway. She had only won 50 duels in a year and had almost failed several times. Of course, this had a lot to do with her luck. Therefore, she felt that the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list was a list determined by luck. Chapter 1534. But now, for a person to win 63 battles in a row, it was definitely not as simple as luck. However, the young girl was still somewhat unconvinced. "Grandpa, maybe this person is a king stage expert who has never climbed the stairway to heaven and climbed all the way up?" The old man let out a sigh. He shook his head and said, "Qing, I don't know how long it will take for you to change your unyielding personality. With your temperament, you're not suitable to be a Radiance Envoy. If you still can't recognize the excellence of others after 2 years, then don't fight for the Radiance Envoy position. I just need to fight for a position in the Radiant Light Knight Order." As he spoke, the old man's tone became serious. The girl felt a little wronged and muttered, "I bet he's over 30 years old." The old man replied, "He should be a year younger than you." The old man had personally seen Lin Yuan at the Great Night Assembly. Right now, there was only one person that Mystic Moon had personally encrypted on the Star Web. It was obvious that this person was the Moon Empress disciple. It seems like the Moon Empress disciple likes to create an alternate identity. It was still Black, the disciple of His Holiness and the Castellan of Sky City. He could switch between these three identities seamlessly. The old man did not feel that there was anything wrong with this. Instead, he was extremely impressed. Thinking back to when he was young, he also had a few aliases. When the young girl heard the old man's words, her eyes darkened and she didn't say a word. After a long while, he finally said, "Grandpa, I'm going to train." The old man sighed again as he watched the girl leave. "Qing, when will you realize that for Radiance Envoys, strength isn't everything?" As one of the components of the Star Web, as long as Lin Yuan logged onto the Star Web, Mystic Moon would be able to access the Star Web. He had been secretly paying attention to Lin Yuan's news. Thus, Mystic Moon could be said to be the first person to witness Lin Yuan's achievements. Mystic Moon was very proud of Lin Yuan. Mystic Moon could imagine how happy the Moon Empress would be after she came out of seclusion. When he saw the secret letter sent by the Star Web staff asking him how he should match Black with an opponent, he was stunned. Xianxia snorted lightly. Without receiving a reply, he sent the letter back. What did Wang Zhong, the manager of Starweb, mean? Could it be that I would open the back door for His Highness? The Radiant Moon Palace had never opened the back door when doing things. After Wang Zhong received Xian Yu's reply, he knew that she meant for him to make arrangements as he pleased. Although Wang Zhong was a little perturbed, this lord did not express his opinion. For the sake of the excitement of the duel, he could only apologize to Black. In this kind of public duel, if one wasn't sure how to match an opponent, according to the usual practice, a sanctuary-level opponent should also be arranged with a healing-type spirit chi professional. However, Wang Zhong did not care so much. How did Black look like a healing-type spirit chi professional? It was even more ferocious than combat-type spirit chi professionals. Black, this troublemaker, had finally agreed to an exhibition match. If Wang Zhong did not take advantage of him, he would be letting down the masses on Starweb. After making the decision, Wang Zhong personally sent a Starweb message to all the Starweb netizens. Starweb. At 8 p.m. sharp, the Starlight Arena will host a public duel between Black and Lu Shuang. If Black defeats Lu Shuang, Black will obtain the Sanctuary level title on the 80th floor. This Starweb official message immediately caused an uproar on the Starweb. It gave off the atmosphere of the tournament finals. Lu Shuang was also a celebrity on Starweb, and her fame was not inferior to Black. When Lu Shuang livestreamed, she had created a set of straightforward words that were sharp and venomous. She had the mentality of a troublemaker. More importantly, Lu Shuang was known as the Sanctuary-level door god. Even some Sanctuary-level opponents might not be able to defeat Lu Shuang. What was the Starweb official thinking? Why did they arrange such an opponent for Black? If it was someone else arranged for Lu Shuang to duel with the Starweb official, the fans would have already exploded. However, when Black was arranged to have a celestial stairway duel with Lu Shuang, the happiest ones would be Black's fans. Light of the bright moon. Thank you, Starweb official. The Starweb official finally did something. Our Black's fans will remember you. The Starweb official is awesome. You're tuning in to the Zhou Xian's Legacy YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.